Hi everybody, you're listening to the Khandaan podcast by the You Podcast team, a bi-weekly podcast revisiting the movies of Amir Khan, Salman Khan and Shah Rukh Khan.
Every show we pick a random year from 3 decades of collectively 300 films the Khans have done and let our listeners vote which movie we should talk about. So it's entirely up to you.
Pick a team, make a vote, take us down nostalgia lane, punish us, or make us reassess a movie we dismissed.
We love the Khans, most of us, sometimes. And we would love for you all to be part of our Khandaan, because when it comes to the Khans in Bollywood, nothing else really matters.
How's Film Companion doing it? Like, are you guys just recording yourselves at home? Like, what are you doing?
It's actually really busy for us. Like, there are very few industries that are actually better off. And I think we're better off when the world is ending. Because like, we're just working a lot more, writing a lot more. And people are reading a lot more, which is weird. So, it's weirdly not.
I guess people are consuming more content these days, so they are watching more. And they're relying on you guys to recommend more, you know.
I guess so, yeah. I think just anything online seems to be slightly better off. I guess.
I think it's different for YouTube compared to like podcasts and stuff. People are not listening to podcasts as much because people usually listen to podcasts when they're commuting or in the gym or, you know. Yeah, that's gone down a bit. So,
but it's also really funny just to watch people like YouTubers who who are like scrambling for content because they're just like stuck at home.
Yeah.
Like not people like Film Companion, because obviously you have all the movies to talk about, but like people like the Try Guys and stuff where they're just like, what the f*** do we do? Like Bon Appetit is like doing videos of like how they make their coffee. Like it's literally like
Dal Baguna coffee.
All the people, I was going to say, all the people becoming YouTubers who really aren't, like Kartik Aryan now starting a new YouTube chat show.
But that's his like home territory. Like Kartik Aryan belongs in TikTok, you know.
I was going to say that because, like, did you guys see that? I don't know, some kind of nationalistic Modi-loving like video that they all collaborated on.
Muskurayega India.
That one. Yeah. But it's so funny because like you have like legend movie stars like Akshay, and Akshay is like acting as if he's actually on screen, and it is so out of place. And then Kartik Aryan is on like, you know, like he has the personality for TikTok. So he's like killing it. Like he knows exactly how to calibrate it for his camera phone. So it's really funny to like see.
And then there's Jackie Bhagnani, you know.
There was some really weird, inclusions in that thing. Like I was just like, why are these people here?
But Jackie Bhagnani is there because Jackie Bhagnani is there because he owns the music label that is producing it.
Yeah, I thought he was involved in funding or some way. Otherwise, who would invite that guy? Right?
Yeah.
Also, it's one of those really weird times where like, because they don't actually have big movies to get people to fall in love with them, you just realize like how they're all kind of like regular people in the sense that they really don't have anything to elevate them right now. So these are just a bunch of people stuck at home. So it's really weird.
And you can really see like which ones have personality and which ones don't, because and also like which ones really need the choreography. Like poor Bhumi and like, you know, like they were like definitely like Ayushman. I was like, wow, that's some struggle choreography right there. And like Akshay also, like surprisingly, I thought Akshay would be, at least in the choreography department, he might be okay. But nope, he's like doing some sort of weird like airlift moves in that video. And I'm just like, what are you doing, bro? Like, chill out.
I've not seen this video, like Muskurayega India one. Like I thought because the other one they did with Amitabh and all that, I was like, this is gonna be the best they're gonna make. I don't think anybody will make anything better, so I'm gonna just stick to this one. I'm still kind of keeping my diet of, you know, on social media to, be like watch a little bit but not get too involved and try to shut down as much as I can. Although I still feel I'm way too much on it. So it's hard to regulate, I feel. But I think we should, like, maybe next few episodes we should do like what are stars doing on social media kind of segments, because I saw Katrina Kaif and her sister were making crepes, doing a terrible job at it, and I was like, I can go and make crepes for Katrina. This could be like a thing. Like, I'm fine with that.
Valid career option.
Yeah, crepes for Katrina in quarantine. I think this is like
That sounds like the Jerry Seinfeld show, like comedians in cars getting coffee. So it's Katrina in quarantine making crepes.
Yeah, I think that would work. I just make as many crepes as she wants, like millions, thousands. I'll make your crepes. Okay, so let's get started. What are we doing this episode? So I wanted to first say, these Corona episodes are fun, and we've been getting a lot of emails from a lot of people, and we think we should just get all of those emails together and do kind of like a mailbag episode. So if people have any other questions or comments, send it over at youpodcasting@gmail.com. We'll do them all in one go. I think it'll be fun. There's been a lot of fun questions in there. And I think it's also, because I think for us guys, it's just been like, we've been just doing these podcasts and stuff like that. And then people were like, how did you guys ever meet? And it's true. We just never, ever talk about that. So I think that could be kind of a cool thing to talk about. Not that it's such an interesting story or anything like that, but I think that could be cool. I think maybe, Amrita, if you're okay with managing it, maybe you can also open up the Curious Cat for a week. Because I think some people still might need to send in anonymous questions. I think that could be fun.
This is so YouTube of us to do like Q&As and AMA, ask us anything.
Ask us anything, yeah. But that's the time we're living in, like, I mean, you were saying, all these guys are, even you guys at Film Companion and Suchin, you're like basically doing podcasts, right? I feel you are kind of muscling into our territory to a certain degree, like we're like tinkering with a spoon and a broken pencil in our garages, and you guys come like with funding and cameras and access to all of these stars. I was like, what the hell is going on, man? Like, the BBC has a podcast. I was listening to these Joel McHale and Ken Jeong on they have a podcast now, the guys from Community. And I was like, these are not podcasters. These are actors, right? So, and yesterday, there's been a bloody Instagram live DJ battle between DJ Premier and the RZA. It's like, what is the world coming to when I can watch RZA in his bloody, bedroom mix up with DJ Premier? I mean, it's cool. I appreciate it. But I need certain distance with my idols and my stars. I can't be in their bedroom. It feels weird.
But it's also like super interesting to me to see like people who are in broadcasting, like people like I was watching like all these late night hosts on American TV, like Jimmy Fallon and Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel and all of these people, and they're so used to having a certain setup. And suddenly they're in like YouTuber territory where they're trying to like figure out like, the mic situation. And like Stephen Colbert had this entire week where he was, he had those goofy like Apple earpod things in, like AirPods. And he was like basically using that to record his voice, and it was ridiculous and it was funny. And you were just like sitting there, you were just like, like just don't do that. Like tuck it in somewhere.
It's also really interesting to see which one of them like can adapt really well and the others who are struggling. And also you can't control a studio at home. Like shit is going to go down. Like I think it was Jimmy Fallon's daughters kept sort of messing up his shoot, and it was so funny. It was like really, really wonderful. So it's just like it's really cool to see them as human beings, not as like within the machinery of the audience that has to laugh at anything they say and stuff.
In that way, like, I think, like, Conan had a bit of a leg up because he's so, like, he's used to going on the road. He's used to, like, like, playing around with this format a little bit. So I think he is probably mentally doing a little bit better than the rest of them. But, wow, yeah, some of that stuff is rough. And it's hilariously so. And I don't know what the world is going to look like when this whole thing ends. And I don't know when this whole thing is going to end. And how they're ever going to go back to that format of like having like 500 people as in the audience and like, like 300 people on crew.
WrestleMania was held last week, and there was no audience in WrestleMania. And it's historic. It's just historic, man. We're living history as we speak.
Did the Filmfare Awards happen or did they not happen? Like, I saw something on my YouTube, like an Indian award show, and I was like, wait, did they just upload it or did it happen without an audience?
Asim, have you forgotten that you lost at the Filmfare
Awards? We had an entire episode, Asim.
No, I don't, like, some award. I don't mean the Filmfare necessarily. I just call them all Filmfare. Like Star Screen or something like that. Was there not, like, an award on YouTube or was it just actually Filmfare that appeared on my stream?
There was some award show that happened just before lockdown. I think that was Filmfare. That was literally like 5 days before lockdown.
Okay. So it was, and they had an audience then, I imagine, right? Nothing was shut down. Okay. So
I heard for that one that all they did was because they couldn't get too much of an audience, so it was literally just trying to cut between getting actors in at different times, shooting their parts and screwing off. Like, they do that anyway, but this was that on crack because they couldn't get 500 people. So literally just...
that's what I thought it was, because, like, I didn't watch it, but there's, like, preview sequences, and it seemed so empty, and the way it was shot, it seemed very clear that there was no audience this time. So that's why I was like...
A lot of close-ups. Just, like, show one person at a time. Just don't show the audience.
Yeah. Like,
they would have better, like, shot the whole film, the award function on Zoom or something.
Because I think Ranveer Singh was singing and Ranveer dancing, and Ranveer Singh without an audience is like a mad person in one of those isolation rooms, like in a madhouse. He's just like hitting himself against one wall against the other. Pagal ho gaya, that's what he looked like basically. Like kuch bhi pehen ke aa gaya hai, whatever hat, whatever, like a total mad person.
Okay, let's start our episode because Suchin needs to leave.
Yeah. So
now I sound like an asshole, but thank you.
I've got important things to do, Mr. Internet Star.
Suchin's a celebrity.
Yeah, how's celebrity, man? How is that? Like, how does that feel?
I don't know because I'm nowhere there, but thank you for saying stuff like that. No, I got nothing. It's really cool to put my face on the internet and watch people reject it. But apart from that, yeah, it's fun. I don't know.
it's actually, like, I was just thinking, like, you get like all the stan, like, madness. Like, I've seen like people who basically come out of the woodwork on Twitter and are just like, how dare you not love everyone that I love, this Suchin. And then Suchin's just like, but what did I do? I don't understand.
Yeah, it's just a lot of people who just like, how dare you have an opinion? It's like, sorry, I don't know.
So, Suchin, how many marriage proposals though?
About 19, but my mom is just sifting through those. So if anyone wants to add, we have a dedicated email account.
All marriage proposals will be taken seriously by Suchin's mom.
No comment.
So Suchin, what have you been watching?
That's a good question. Basically just streaming web show stuff. Recently I saw a couple. My favorite thing I saw recently was it's a new show on Voot Select, and it's so bad that it's one of the most entertaining things I've seen. Like, it made quarantine worthwhile. It's called the Raikar Case, and it's basically it's got like Niro and a couple of these guys, but it's basically a crime thriller, family drama, whodunit, murder, mystery, love, something. And it's basically about a bunch, like a really messed up family, and one of them dies, and so it's an investigation as to like who did it and why. And every 5 minutes, there's a new affair, new blackmail, new murder. Somebody's faked their own death. There are secret twins, like siblings you never knew you had. It's one of those ridiculous, like a family WhatsApp group marries a TV show. It's so bad, but it was so entertaining, and like I could not recommend it enough for all of them.
Where is it streaming?
It's on Voot.
Voot, Voot. I've never even heard of this streaming platform. What is this? Like, what is it?
I think it's TV18 Group, Viacom's streaming platform.
So they've just started doing original shows, and this is literally their third, and it's terrible, and I love it.
I think I've seen like what's the Arshad Warsi one?
Asur,
is on Voot. Yeah, I've seen that, and yeah, it started with a very promising premise, but it just lost its steam midway.
So Asur has the most aggressive fans. Like everyone's just getting aggressively trolling. How dare you? Have you seen Asur? Why haven't you seen Asur? It's just like, I don't want to anymore. Like, just everyone who watches that show just sucks.
Yeah, I thought like people were getting really aggressive about Asur, which stars Arshad Warsi. But yeah, it started like any other investigative serial killer thriller, and then it tries to do things very smartly, and it just lands on its ass. But anyway, sorry, what were you asking, Amrita?
Who's in the other one? The
Raikar Case.
Raikar.
So it's got Neil Pupalam. He's in NH10 and a couple of other things. He's really good otherwise. In this, it's like, just chill, bro. No, you can do better. And apart from that, it's largely sort of new faces. Other Kulkarni's in it. But yeah, it's just a bunch of people who came together and created something magical.
Okay.
I'm seeing Ashwini Bhave. Why have you not mentioned her yet?
Oh, yeah, sorry. After a point, they all just merge into one. But no, I think it released on Friday. But I don't know if Voot Select is paid or not. Because I think Voot used to be you just have to make an account. But anyway, anyone who can watch it, you should, because it will make you laugh and feel better about life. Because it's trashy.
I also wonder if these smaller streaming platforms, if they are available outside of India. Because I know with like there's been a whole like even Amrita, you retweeted a very long thread about, I think, was it Mohanlal movies, if I'm not mistaken? And all of them are on Hotstar Disney, which we don't have access to. So it all looked interesting, and then I had to cross check with Prime if they're on there. But because all the links were Hotstar Disney, we don't have that. Although we have Disney Plus, so I'm not even sure if Voot Select is showing outside of India.
So I think
I'm also
apart from Hotstar, I think all of them, like Z5 and Sony, I think they're accessible around the world, the smaller ones. Because it's that whole thing of this is where you can watch Indian TV shows and giving sort of foreign audiences access to that. So it should be accessible.
Okay.
I'm really surprised though about like Hotstar Disney, because I mean, India's not exactly very invested in the whole DRM thing, is it? Like, so I'm kind of surprised that they won't just make it available outside of India. Like, why won't Disney let that be seen? But then Disney makes like all kinds of weird choices when it comes to their properties.
Yeah. So no, what's happened is like the Hotstar distribution model is a bit weird, because there is a Hotstar UK and US wing as well, and they are existing independent of Disney Plus, and Hotstar costs in the UK costs more than Disney Plus. So if you wanted to watch Bahu serials and all that, you need to pay more.
Yeah, so that's the Raikar Case on Voot. What else have you been watching?
I saw Tales from the Loop. It's it's a new sci-fi anthology show on Amazon Prime. It's like a very different kind of sci-fi show. Like, it's not like Black Mirror, which is looking to mess with you in a really entertaining way. This is one of those like really slow, existential, like people looking into space kind of things, where it's just putting people into these really weird what-if scenarios and like focusing on the emotional impact of that. So what if you could go back in time and correct a mistake, things like that. It was interesting, but it was really slow. I don't know if it's just because the world is ending and we all want a bit of fun in our lives, but it's one of those really slow burn kind of things, and I really struggled with it. But it's got some really cool people, it's got really cool cast and stuff. But it's for people who really like heady kind of sci-fi stuff. For me, I just wanted to watch cool robots do stuff. That was a bit of a disappointment.
Sorry, what is the name of that? I missed it.
It's called Tales from the Loop.
I've literally never heard. This is also just this is like the Amazon interface, right? Like, I am watching a lot of sci-fi, and this show has literally never showed up on my, like, I've never heard, and it's got like Rebecca Hall in it, it's got Paul Schneider in it, so like well-known faces, like Jonathan Pryce is in it.
It's a big show, it's a very big show. I don't know why, it's under the radar. You would have thought.
Yeah.
I feel like that's basically par for the course for any Amazon show. Yeah. Like, I've never seen a platform that makes you work this hard to watch something that they have produced. Where they're like, we've made it, but we don't want you to like watch it unless you really want it. Like you have to work, like mine for it. And I'm just like, what the hell, man? Like, why are you spending all that money? Like Bezos has like all this money that he's just spending on like bullshit.
On Netflix, if you misspell the name of a movie, they will give you suggestions of what that director's cousin's dog made. But on Amazon, if you get like one word, you're off, or one letter or anything. Good luck.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you have the exact keyword search, the first result is absolutely bizarre. It's nowhere connected with the actual movie at all.
And for me, it's also a pain because it has a lot of like South Indian content, and a lot of my South Indian friends recommend me stuff, but I'm not good with listening to people, so I don't like know what they're saying. So I try to search for it in Amazon Prime, and then within 10 minutes I give up because it's like Kantakum 7 times. How do I write that? Like, what is it? Like, like, it doesn't work. And, like, the other is, like, I watch a lot of, like, Bosch is a series I absolutely love on Prime. And nobody watches it. It's like 7 people in the world watch that show. They still keep on making it. And I never get an alert. I never get an alert when the next season is starting. Maybe they really want to still do like word of mouth. I literally got a text from my friend, hey, did you know that Bosch is starting on your birthday? I was like, what? I don't know. I didn't know anything. Like, that's a very easy thing to solve for Amazon. Like, I browse something on my phone and they chase me for 7 months later on that, why didn't you not buy that, egg peeler that you wanted to buy? Why can they not do that with the shows? I don't understand it. It's hilarious.
But Amazon is good at that as well. They're good at having good shows that nobody's watching or people have never heard of. That's like their USP. It's pretty sad.
Yeah, it's actually really quality stuff. Like a lot of their stuff is really high quality, but it's and also for India, they just spend all that money on those comedians, like giving those comedians those shows, and I'm like, why? Like, half these people don't even have, like, it's not even that they're bad, it's just that they don't have the material for like half an hour or whatever it is that they've gotten. So I'm like, why? Why are you giving them all this?
Can we talk a little about that? Because I feel this is like something that's been annoying me for a while now, like this stand-up comedian thing. I wonder,
Asim
like,
cracks his knuckles.
No, because that's another question I also have with Suchin, because now you are forced to watch a lot of terrible, terrible stuff, right? This has now become part of your job. And, like, I've come to the conclusion I don't find any stand-up comedians in India funny anymore. Like, there were a few that I liked at the start, but now I don't find any funny. Like, I'm not interested in their shows. I still enjoy them like on social media, like I like their videos or like their Twitter feed or something like that. But a 30-minute show, I just can't. Like there's another one that came out on Netflix, I think Ladies Up, which I know a lot of anti-feminist kind of people are like, women aren't funny kind of thing, but I would say that it seems to me that Indian stand-ups are not that funny anymore. Maybe it's just me, but how has your experience been, Suchin? Because even I follow your stuff when you review them, and even you never seem to be really bowled over by any of them. Am I missing any that I really should watch?
So that's a good question. I think one of the reasons is because, like you said, it is kind of overkill. Like, so when they first started, Amazon has now got to the point where it's almost, I feel like this is some sort of contractual obligation where they have to put out a new stand-up special every 1 or 2 months, regardless of whether it's good or not. I actually did research on this recently for a piece, and I think as of last month, they had about, I think it was just under 40 comedy specials, of which I found 6, which I thought were really well worth recommending and checking out, and that ratio is pretty off. And most of the really good ones all came out like in 2017. Which is like the first wave of specials, and it's weird that nothing really great has come out. I mean, there's very few that, very good ones that have come out of the last 2 years. It's almost become like special for the sake of it kind of thing. So you just have to try and find the ones that are worth your time and try and talk about them more because they deserve it. The rest of them, it's become kind of like a commoditized thing.
Maybe I've also aged out of it. That's the other thing I'm also thinking about. Like, because when I'm watching like American stand-up, they're slightly older, and I've kind of grew up with them, and they were always slightly older than me, so I was kind of catching up to the talking points they were coming towards. Whereas these guys are still, I mean, they're younger, so they're still talking really about, ladki nahi phasti, and, like, sex on Tinder, and all of these topics are not necessarily anything that, speaks to me anymore. Where Dave Chappelle is more about society or family and things like that. So maybe that's also something where my disconnect is
That's
now.
a very good point. It really could be that they tend to sort of stick to the same few topics. Also, it's because there's this like onslaught of comedy, it's hard to navigate it to find the great ones. But that being said, there's one that's coming out, new special coming out next week, which I'm really excited about, which is Khandaan, who I think is one of the best stand-ups in India. He has a Netflix special coming out on the 24th. And I think he's only the 4th Indian comic ever to get his own Netflix special. And I have faith in that. Because I really think he's someone who's really sort of, he's got a distinct voice and he really knows his stuff.
I agree with you, Suchin. He out of the other ones, he's probably one that kind of maybe, I would maybe be a bit more interested in. But I mean, is the best what he could have done not already done? That's my worry. Like, when was worst movie reviews has been a couple of years now, I think, right? 5-6 years, before they all got, and those are still getting, like, I still rewatch those episodes, and a lot of people have even said Khandaan has become a podcast version of that show to a certain degree, especially when we're doing episodes like Mela. It's, I don't know. I maybe I'll watch it, but it's a weird one because there was another one with Amit Tandon, which a comic I'd never heard about, but he seems quite popular in India.
So he's not. So he is, but again, that was a really weird move. So he's your very sort of safe family audience kind of comedian, not what you and me would just sort of consider a comedian. Sort of people, but yeah, he's someone who's very, very aimed at the safe, cricket jokes, Bombay versus Delhi, Gujaratis are crazy, Punjabi weddings are crazy kind of thing. So I have no idea why they decided to give him a Netflix special, but I guess he probably has a very distinct audience in that family zone, or maybe they're trying to tap into that.
Amrita, do you still watch any stand-up comedians in India?
I mean, I didn't watch any to begin with.
Shots fired.
No question. But Priya Enter Hotness on Twitter?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So she watches a lot of these shows, and she said there's this guy called Naveen Richard who she finds really funny, and he's sort of like Kenny Sebastian, like if you like Kenny Sebastian kind of humor, I think I haven't watched his entire show, but I've seen clips of him on YouTube, and he seems to get that same vibe.
So he has his second special just came out. He's someone, I think the biggest problem with stand-up also is you have to do 5 things, right? If you're a stand-up comedian, you have to be great at stand-up. They give you like a web series. You're also a YouTuber, and you're also like a host somewhere, and all of these guys are good at different things. So Naveen Richards, I think he's such a great creator. He's created some really great web series like Better Life Foundation, Pushpavalli and stuff. So he's a really cool comedy writer. But stand-up, I never thought was his forte. His first special was pretty bad, but then he just came out with the second one 2 weeks ago, and that one was really strong. I thought it was very good. So it's a weird one. Everyone just has different strengths. They're supposed to all do the same thing.
I will put in a little bit of a plug for Pushpavalli though. It's it was a very unexpected surprise when it's usually when you see women who are unlikable on Indian screens, whether it's on TV or film, they tend to be unlikable for very male ideas of why somebody is a despicable person, and by male ideas, I mean a very patriarchal idea, sharab peeti hai, cigarette phookti hai, that kind of stuff. But Pushpavalli is funny, but also she's a creep. And I really enjoy the fact that she's a creep.
Comedy done right. it's so funny and so messed up, but also like really human.
Yeah.
It's a rare one.
And she does a really good, what's her name? Suresh? Yeah. She does a really good job of it too. Like when I went in, I was really afraid that she was going to sort of, do like a stock character kind of a thing. But no, I really like her performance in it. Like she really anchors that whole show together. So yeah.
I think for me, I was just doing a Crazy Ex-Girlfriend watch when that show dropped. And it seemed so similar in terms of storytelling, I never got to it. And it seems that there's been quite a gap between season 1 and season 2, right? It seems like Pushpavalli, the first season was kind of the first slate of shows that Amazon dropped. And then now the second season has dropped. So I didn't understand why they waited so long for it. But I am hearing good things about that one, so maybe it is one I would revisit. Sujoy, are you watching any stand-up comedy? Is that still your zone or not? Not really.
I'm mostly watching like old stuff. Sometimes like I'm still going back to my favorites of like Lee Evans and Jason Manford and Frankie Boyle and Jimmy Carr. I do like watching Biswa. He's probably the only Indian comic that I kind of find like his jokes are relevant and I can relate to. Biswa, and there's another one called Abhishek Upamanyu, but I haven't really seen any specials of him. I just watch his YouTube bits, but that's probably the only Indian comics that I actually think.
So he doesn't have a special. He's on that list of the best comedians who don't have their own special. And I'm guessing he would have probably been putting one together right now.
That must be frustrating though, especially like in Desi culture when you're so competitive with everybody and you're the one good comic that doesn't get a special. You really need to start wondering what where you went wrong. Like,
but that's also
why am I not getting it?
Either that they've screwed up or just means that that's someone who gives a shit more about getting it right rather than ticking the box. So like I said, most of these guys are just Amazon wants a special, we'll put something together, see if it works. Hopefully that means that he's like, if I'm going to do a special, it's going to pop.
Suchin, did you have anything else?
So I just saw this new show from Dice Media on YouTube. Dice Media, the guys who made What the Folk and Little Things. So they have a new show called Operation MBBS, which is like a 5-episode show on YouTube. It's about basically 3 medical students, 3 friends, and their first year through medical college. And it's a really, really sweet show. It's another one of their... So they're very good at sort of the comedy drama kind of space. And it's not perfect, but I thought it was a very easy, fun watch. Just about 3 people and everything from, just like the jokes they have as well as, the intense pressure of med school and the fact that you're constantly competing against your friends and things like that. Or for people who don't want to be doctors, but they're forced into that because Indian parents happen. But it was a very fun, sort of easy watch. So I think it's definitely worth checking out. It's called Operation MBBS on YouTube, Dice Media channel.
Okay. Is this paid again or is this free to watch on YouTube?
But it just means that because they're sponsored shows, every once in a while in the middle of the episode they have to plug whichever brand is sponsoring them, which is always funny to do.
It's like watching a Bengali movie when the heroine just starts applying parachute oil.
Or my favorite example is Honey Singh's last video, or last to last video, where the entire music video was about protein.
Does Honey Singh need any more protein shake? It's like blood. Okay, we're not fat shaming on this podcast.
No, he got no. It's those protein shakes are working, man. The guy is now cut. Like it's like whatever medication, because he was like on antidepressives, right, for a long time. And now he's like cut 6-pack Dole Shole. It's working, man. Those protein shake, whatever Honey Singh is promoting, buy that shit because clearly it's working.
I'm still pretty sure he's free.
I don't know. No. I saw something yesterday. Somebody posted yesterday about Honey Singh, and I do not. No. I don't even know the handle of Honey Singh on Instagram. Otherwise, I'd mention it. But the dude is now quite cut. So it's not like not Hrithik Roshan cut, but where he was coming from. I always commend people that can get back to being from pre-Sultan to post-Sultan, that kind of thing. I commend that. It's good.
Speaking of Hrithik, he also put out a new Instagram transformation video thing. He put out one of those how I got into shape for war, so long. exercise supercut. It was pretty motivational.
Yeah, I saw that one. I didn't know, it's more about, like, his injuries but it is kind of always funny with these transformation videos of these stars, because there's like, look at my shape before I started getting into shape. And I was like, he still looks better than all of us, right? Like, it's like, dude, it's like, it's like, have some perspective, right? And also the fact that, like, you have 70 people around him when he's working out, it's like, it's kind of cool to see this, and I do not want to diminish the effort that he put in, and, going through the pain of, whatever his back was hurting. He had like a slip disc and his ankle was hurting, and I get it, but it's like, you got 70 people working with you. You have your own home gym. You're not cooking your food. You have, like, a whole studio backing you. I mean, all of these factors do kind of come into the equation, and I don't think he talks about that at all, right? It's like, you can do it, and I could do it, and Tiger was such a motivator for me. And it's like, yeah, and 70 people around you, so I don't know. I don't know how it's sat really well with me, that video, personally.
They always have the machinery on.
Yeah, but I think with Hrithik there was a lot more. Like, I felt like there was a lot, like, more than usual, like, because he has the physios, and he had, like, all of these other people with him too. Like, I've seen most transformation, like the Amir Khan one, and even the Shah Rukh one and stuff like that, and like the Hrithik one seemed like very, very intense. And I don't know if it endeared me to Hrithik as a person watching that video, personally. Did you guys watch it, Amrita, Sujay? Did you watch it?
No. I steer clear away from that.
Yeah.
Sujay's like, I don't even want to get motivated.
But I honestly don't understand how watching a giant star do a transformation video is supposed to motivate you, because it would just demotivate me, because I'd be like, well, I don't have, like 3 trainers and like a chef and a nutritionist who's like devoted her life to like feeding me properly. Like, I don't have any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I can't compete with like when Kumail was talking about like what he had to do to get in Marvel fighting shape.
Yeah.
Like, he was like very clear about it. Like, that was the one thing that I really liked about what he said was, like, ordinary people can't do things like this in like, like, you can't go from like Kumail, 1.0 to like 2.0 over the course of a year or 9 months, unless you have Marvel footing the bill.
Yeah.
And you're out there. So I don't get it.
As a result of that, he said in some interview that he's now become less funnier, and he was serious about it, and I thought that was really interesting. So if you become that good-looking guy,
well, I think there is something to that, because it's not that he's like his talent like evaporated with his sweat, but I think there is a thing about like whatever you do, like it's like working a muscle. So whatever you're good at that because you're spending a certain amount of time working on it. You're practicing it, you're doing it over and over and over again. So like, that's how your brain gets trained to do those things. So if you're spending the majority of your day worrying about the way you look and in the gym exercising, then your body is obviously showing that transformation. But it also means that there's less energy and less mental space for other things. Which is why it's kind of good to like live in moderation. Like, but when you're an actor, I suppose at some point you have to worry about.
Apparently, he plays a Bollywood actor in the movie, so it should be interesting to see how that is.
Oh my god, I don't know. Like, I read that, and I'm so worried about what is going to come our way.
So
like, it's going to be either a mess or else it's going to be awesome.
By the way, there's a really good conversation on Dax Shepard's podcast between him, Rob McElhenney from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and this really long Apple TV show that I really love, that I would strongly recommend if anybody has Apple TV to watch that show, Raven's Quest. It's hilarious. And they talk about male obsession with male bodies. And which I borderline have. I think I do. I mean, I have to admit. But how, kind of growing up in the 80s, we had this surge of Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and all these kind of things, and how it kind of skewed our minds. And it's like a very deep conversation about that. So it's quite interesting to see. And they talk about nutrition and they talk about working out. And, that even Rob McElhenney said that you cannot, it's stupid to do this if you don't have like a project and backing and finances behind it. And it's honestly not that complicated. You just have to do what they say and you have to eat what they give you. And that's it. And that's not it's not, Amrita, like you say, I don't necessarily understand what the motivational factor for that is, when you have a whole team. And I think that's what really annoyed me about Ritik's video most than anything.
Sorry, I was just going to say, from a woman's perspective, like when I want to see like a hunky guy sweating, like it's not when he's in the gym. Like that's not something that women typically obsess over or like fantasize about. Like, ooh, there's a guy and he's like, on the stationary bike and he's like sweating all over it. I mean, that's, I'm sure there are people whose kink that is, but that's not mine. So
they talk about that exactly on the podcast, that there's a point where you're basically working out to impress other men. And it's not even about women anymore. Women are not involved in this equation whatsoever. If you're like sending pics about how much your veins are sticking out, women do not want to see veins sticking out in men. It's not attractive necessarily to them. But we love vascularity. We have a word for it.
It's TIL.
Yeah. So it is a male obsession, and especially when you kind of grew up in that time, and then body shapes. Anyway, this is not interesting for you, Amrita. Let's not get into this.
This is absolutely not interesting for me either.
Okay.
I'm sitting here almost resembling Mr. Lebowski, in my robe. I have grown my beard. I've not had a haircut in 2 months. And I'm like, veins and vascularity? Asim, grow up.
Yesterday I was so happy because I got these like workout elastic bands, which I never had before. And I found the right angle because it's a new, and I was like floating on clouds for the rest of the day. I was like telling my wife, I was telling my friends, I found the right angle, guys. I'm so happy. Oh god. So I wanted to pivot over to the Amitabh, Rajnikant and Ranveer video. Did you guys watch that one? I don't know what it's called actually.
Yes.
The Family.
Yeah. What did you guys think? Sujoy, what did you think of the video?
Like, I had the widest grin when I saw Prosenjit on it. Bumbada, out of nowhere he came and he was like, oh my god, I wasn't expecting this. But I was like, yeah, that was the best that has come out of this quarantine period. Like, it's like, it made me smile ear to ear. Like, all the actors who collaborated on it, and even Priyanka Chopra came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was really, really happy with it. Like, the concept and how they were able to pull that off. Very, very impressed.
You know what I want? I want Bollywood to do, those TikTok... have you guys seen those TikTok videos of, women who, they have, a makeup brush, and then they brush the camera, then they transform from the bathrobe to, full glam. I want to see, Deepika and Anushka and Katrina, and, I want to see Ranveer. I want to see, all of them do that. That would be fun. And I think that would be within their wheelhouse. Like, it wouldn't have to, like, they wouldn't have to show any personality or, like, come up with content. Like, they could just look glam. Like, they can do that.
I only want to watch Lolo in that.
Oh my god, Lolo would be so good in it.
Yeah.
Is that don't rush thing where they do the glam up and they send the pen to the other side and then they catch up? Is that the one?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Right.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
I know stuff.
How do you do, fellow kids?
I thought it was bloody impressive. Like, I think most of the time when people try to do these kinds of things, it's very cringy, like the Akshay Kumar, whatever Karthikeyan one. But this one was very impressive. Also, I love the fact that it was so well executed. Like, a lot of thought had to go into that. Like, I want to know who directed it and how you had conversation with all these famous people to be like, what furniture do you have? Like, how do we do that with your tape? And also, like, you never see, like, this will always be normally like Bollywood, right?
Yeah.
It'll be Priyanka Chopra, Amitabh, Ranveer, whatever. But here they really, like, went sort of pan-India, and you never see that. You never see that as here the most famous cool people. And it was really...
I also thought it was like a really cool idea that everybody would speak in their own language and that they wouldn't, like they weren't trying to say it in English or whatever. So it really sounded so at home. Like, it really did sound like they were all living in this giant, like, flat house or something together.
Yeah. I mean, I'll admit I didn't know a lot of the actors in the video. I was like, okay, great. I'm sure he's like a legend, that kind of thing. But I appreciate it because, there's this idea, that they're all one house and they're all one country, which that, resonated with me. I thought that was really cool. I do feel that they should have maybe worked a little bit on the audio, because it sometimes feel that, you're in a very open space and sometimes it's not, and that kind of was a bit, but it's like a minor criticism. I really loved the Ranveer in it, like maybe more than anybody, because I just missed him on screen. I was like, oh my god, he's so good with even like such a small kind of thing. And man, Amitabh's voice, man.
For me, that was... Diljit completely stole that show. That was his film. They were all just supporting actors around it.
Really? Okay. That's good that everybody has their favorites. And I do think the Priyanka thing was a surprise. I didn't see that coming, that Priyanka would show up.
So Asim knows a weird amount of shit about Yo Yo Honey Singh, and is not a fan of Diljit. Like, these are the things that we have learned today.
The thing is, Diljit is fine. Like, I don't get the hype for Diljit. Like, it's like I get it. He's like, I've only seen like one movie with him. I think
we all heard you, Asim. It's fine. Like,
I do not get the hype for Diljit.
It's not what you said, it's how you said it.
No, because I only see him like commenting on all these like women on Instagram. That's what I see most about Diljit, which I find really, really weird. So I've not seen his movies. I've seen Udta Punjab, and then I saw him in the Anushka Sharma one, but then Anushka Sharma was in it, so I don't.
Oh, Filori.
Yeah, Filori. So I don't even think about anybody except Anushka Sharma. So those are the two things I've seen, and then I only see him comment on women's posts. So that's why I'm a bit like, that's why I was reacting the way I was towards Diljit more than anything else. Which doesn't justify Honey Singh's lyrics or anything like that. But I'm not putting them on equal footing. But that's where I stand with Diljit. It's not that I don't like him, but I don't get it. I honestly don't get it. So yeah, good for you, Suchin, for liking him. Oh god. Amrita, what are you watching?
So I'm watching a whole bunch of stuff, but I was actually thinking about things that people could actually watch as well. And I know we'll be doing these episodes for the foreseeable future. So I thought maybe for this episode, I'd choose things that were easily available and were basically like, well, trash. Like not trash, but like things that like don't really, like you're not expected to use your brain too much, something that you can just relax with. Like you can mindlessly eat some potato chips or something while you're watching it. And so on YouTube, there's a show called, there's a proper show called Say Yes to the Dress, and there's like an American version, which is terrible, and there's a UK version, which is slightly less terrible. And it's about these women who are trying to find the perfect wedding dress, and it basically takes place within these bridal boutiques. And basically the brides come in with their moms and their friends and their sisters, and they have these consultations with the consultants who work at these boutiques. Now, in the UK, they have something called, I think it's called the Curvy Bride Boutique, which is basically a boutique that caters to larger women. And I don't watch the entire show, but on YouTube, they have these clips from it. It's called Say Yes to the Dress, UK, Curvy Bride Boutique. And you can just find these clips. And they're really heartwarming and life-affirming, because you have these women that come in and they have like no self-confidence. Some of them have been like self-harming. And then they come in and they basically get a free therapy session with these bridal consultants who sort of like build up their confidence, tell them it's okay, and at the end of it, they choose a dress. And it sounds really silly and stupid, but it's also like something that's good, and like it has a happy ending for real life people and these time and days that it feels like everybody's just dying or like in fear of their lives, and it just makes you feel good when you watch it. So I recommend that.
Can I go there? I want to feel better about myself. This place sounds wonderful.
Right? It's really good. Like, and it's like short. It's like, like 10, like between like 7 to 10 minutes long, the clips. And there's like a million of them. So, like the typical setup is like, the woman comes in, like timid bride is not sure she can find a dress in her size. And then she's basically just really sad about it, or like, she's really afraid that, she can't really believe that she's going to get like a happy ending. And then the two women that run the boutique just make her feel better, and then you feel better, and then she gets a pretty dress at the end, and you're like, yay, everything's good. So,
sounds like a very like feel good kind of nice.
Yeah. So I would recommend this to anybody.
This is with Gok1, right? Gok1?
This is what?
The presenter in the UK is Gok1, right? He's also a chef.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't watch. So I think there's like I don't watch the entire show. I just watch these clips, and I watch the clips of this particular edition. So I think there's like a proper Say Yes to the Dress show, and then there's this offshoot that is just for like what they call curvy brides.
Right.
Which is like larger women. So that's different. And like some of them, they have like trans family, or, like I said, they were depressed, or they've just had these terrible like life events, or they've just seen a lot of changes. And a lot of it is just about you looking at yourself. Like the message, like consistently, is just you looking at yourself and just being like, yes, so this is where I am. This is who I am, and it's okay. Like, maybe things will get better, maybe things will get worse. Whatever it is, right now, it's fine, it's good, and we're going to have something happy at the end of this. Which is a message that I need at this point in time. So, yeah, that's what I'd recommend. What else am I watching? Oh yeah, so there's a show called Bong Eats
Love
on
Bong
YouTube.
Eats. Love Bong Eats.
Right?
So good.
Have you actually made any of their recipes?
Yes.
Chicken curry.
Of them. Chicken curry, I serve it. Like, I make it so many times. I think I made it last week, even the chicken curry. I consider making every dish. That's how good that show is.
Yeah, like they make a really good, like with a lot of Indian food, it can sometimes be a little bit intimidating, because most of us grew up with moms or grandmoms or whoever who basically never followed a recipe. So, you're like, well, how do you make this curry? And then your mother says, oh, you put a little pinch of that, a little dash of this, and some of this, and like, maybe a little bit of that. And you're like, how much is a little bit? Like, I don't understand. Like, did all of that and nothing turned out well. And then these people come in and they give you like proper measurements and they're like, relax, like this is like an easier way of doing it, and they really like hold your hand through it, and the production values are top notch. Like the food looks amazing, and the woman that's doing the cooking, like she has these beautiful hands and she's putting all the food together, and it looks delicious. Like I want to eat it every time.
One thing I want to note out that the ASMR on this, when they chop the onions, is just next level.
Yeah. It's not technically an ASMR video, but it could absolutely be.
Yeah.
I love that one. It's but this is kind of an interesting one. Like I watch a lot of YouTube cooking shows. Like it's one of my things. So basically, last week somebody was like, what are the last 5 songs you've played on your YouTube video? There's like a lot of like chain tweets going on and everybody tags everybody, and somebody tagged me and I was like, okay, I'll check my YouTube feed, and there was like no songs. All it is food and workout videos. That's my YouTube. That's my entire YouTube. And then the random like Bollywood stuff that I watched for Khandaan. So Mela and stuff like that, making up. So that's all it is. Like that's my YouTube live entirety. Like muscled men and masala plates, so
like Google's having like such a tough time figuring out like what's happening in Asim's life. It's just like
So but I came to the realization that I already am at that level that I cook better than 80% of the YouTube content in terms of cooking, and they're not like I'm reaching the end of YouTube cooking content, so it's become harder and harder to find some channel that excites me, and Bong Eats is still one that excites me. But I kind of wanted to ask you guys, you all watch cooking shows, right? Like which are the ones that are your favorites? Like I really like another one, an Indian content creator is called Bharat's Kitchen. I really like his stuff.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you know him. And there's a Australian guy called Adam Liao who does like more Asian dishes, who I really appreciate. And this is like the classic one, like the king at the moment is Binging with Babish, which I also really appreciate. And also we have kind of a similar look, which I also like. I don't know. What about you guys? Sujo, you're a Bong Eats fan, right? We make the same chicken curry.
Oh yeah.
Even when you post it, I recognize which curry you're making. So I've served it. Served it to you.
There is a related channel to Bong Eats from Bangladesh called Spice Bangla, which is like even more minimalistic than Bong Eats. I kind of like their videos are very much of the aesthetic of like tasty videos on BuzzFeed and stuff. It's like a more top-down shot. So I kind of like them. And then there is Marion's Kitchen. She used to be on MasterChef Australia. She's like an Asian Australian. So she makes some really good Thai food on her channel. And I've recently discovered a channel from Amsterdam called Pick Up Limes for a lot of
Sadia.
A lot of vegan recipes. So I'm trying out that.
Yeah, Sadia, she's really good, and I've been following her channel for a while, and it's really calming, that one, more than anything, right? She's so serene when she's talking, right? Yeah. You almost fall asleep to it. Suchin, what about you? Are you watching any food YouTube content or not?
I get scared of like a lot of cooking shows because they just make me hungry, and then I just like plow my way through my kitchen, so that's never pretty. But there's something about like cooking shows where like in the last year there's a lot more like cooking shows on streaming is another big thing. I don't know why. Like I think Netflix had like 5 big cooking shows in the last few like months. The only one I saw was the Chef Show, which I thought was really cool. John Favreau's. That is basically the chef movie that he made, but they basically made a interview out of that. And there's something really cool about interviewing people while you cook them. Like you can't even put up a front if you want to. So it's a really like fun show. So yeah, if anyone has checked that out, that's really fun to watch.
There's also a Chinese channel I watch. And the whole thing is in Chinese, and even the name of the channel is in Chinese, so I can't even tell you what it's called. But she's like, and everything is Google translated. So all of the subtitles, all of the captions, everything is, so it doesn't make much sense. And like, for example, this title is, and this has 6 million views, right? It's "Cucumbers are not cold. Teach you new ways to eat. Do 6 at a time. Too fragrant." This is the name of the video. It has 6 million views.
That's just wisdom.
And you have to watch it, and like there's so many like other non-Chinese people watching this channel, and they are all making fun of it. Like she's always talking about her kids. We've never seen the kids, and like everything she makes, she turns into like a fluffy bread, and it's hilarious. But it's so, again, like Pick Up Limes, it's so calming to watch. I strongly recommend it. I add it in the show notes because that's like one that maybe not a lot of people have discovered. And it's also such home Chinese cooking, I feel, that you don't really see in our parts of the world. You know, we would go with the classical dishes that we know, but this is like really specific things that I've never seen. And again, this is me because I've reached a certain level where the Bon Appetit guys cannot teach me much anymore. So I have to go to China to the local people to teach me something that I don't know. So yeah, I'll add that in the show notes. Suchin, man, do you have to leave us?
Yes, unfortunately I have to drop off.
Yes. Do you want to just plug where people can find you? And then we can still continue for a couple of minutes, guys, right?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. So
Suchin, man.
Yes, Twitter, I guess, at Suchin545, where I keep tweeting nonsense. And on Film Companion, I guess. And yeah, also, casual plug for anyone who has seen October and love it as much as I do. I'm going to be interviewing Punita Sandhu, the actress from that, tomorrow at 5 India time on Insta Live. So that should be really cool. Yeah, I think it's a wonderful film. So it's 2 years of October tomorrow. Yeah. So yes,
I'm definitely going to be watching that one, but please post the link to the Insta Live because I was looking at Twitter and I couldn't find the link, so I have to go to to Instagram to find the link. So post it on the Twitter feed too. I really, really want to watch that. That looks really interesting.
I look forward to disappointing you, but yes, that should be fun.
Thanks so much, Suchin.
Thanks,
we'll catch you again in a couple of months, which feels hopefully less than 7 years, like it
hopefully
did this
next time the world is exactly the same and hasn't like changed completely. Bye.
Cheers, Suchin. Bye.
Bye. Yeah. We still have a few minutes, or you guys want to wrap it up too, or where are we?
Well, I still haven't talked about what I
Yeah, me neither.
I always get the bad end of the stick. मेरे साथ सौतेला व्यवहार किया जा रहा है.
Dude, I let you go before I went myself. I just interject more, so it feels like I've talked more. But Amrita,
isn't that always the case, though?
That is the case, man. You need to make your own space, man. That's how it works.
Yeah, the only other thing so I actually wanted to recommend this one show. It has Matthew Rhys and Matthew Good. Is it good or goody? Like, I can never tell.
I think it's good.
Yeah. If Asim is saying that, then it must be goody. But it's called The Wine Show, and the first season is the two of them, and then in the second season Matthew Rhys couldn't make it because he was shooting for The Americans, so they got in a sub, but it's still a great show, and it's basically the two of them going through Italy. Like, the first season is just the two of them going through Italy drinking wine and getting absolutely plastered and talking about like the different, like, oh, this is like a good wine, and at the end of it, like, you know, they don't care, they're just drunk. But it's a fun show. But and also Richard Ayoade has this show called 48 Hours, where he takes like a celebrity, like sometimes his friend, to different parts of the world, and they'd spend like 48 hours in a city. And there's like clips on YouTube that you can find from 48 hours. It's called Travel Man, and with Richard Ayoade. And it is some of the funniest things that you can, like, there's this episode where he takes John Hamm, whom he's never met before, to Hong Kong, and I almost died laughing because John Hamm is so American and Richard Ayoade is so British.
Yeah.
And the two of them, and like John Hamm is like spending the entire episode like, is he doing a bit or is he just this way? Like, he's so confused. It's one of my favorites, but it's like, if you want to watch the whole episodes, then I think you'll have to head over to the BBC iPlayer, and I don't know if is it the BBC or is it ITV? I can't even remember. So yeah,
it's Channel 4.
Oh, it's Channel 4.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's neither one of those. So I have no idea how you would watch entire episodes of that.
I was actually we were a couple of years ago. We were in the what's it called now? The South Bank Centre in London. And I don't know what was happening, but there was some festival or something like that, and I was there with Sophia and Isa, and Sophia was just kind of playing around, and then Richard Ayoade came with his kids, apparently. I think it was his kids or some kid he was, kidnapped or something like that. And like, Sophia was playing on one end and like that kid was playing on the other, and I was kind of hoping that Sophia would go play with the kid that Richard had so we could like have a chat, like that way I would have an in, but that didn't happen. But but Richard Ayoade is exactly as awkward in real life as he does on the show, so I don't think it's like an Ali G act. He's exactly like he is. So, and I do find the contrast between how cool John Hamm is and Richard, how uncool Richard Ayoade is inherently funny. So yeah, I think I've watched a few of those episodes, but maybe that episode I've not watched, so that's kind of a good call.
So since if you can't watch that, then on Prime there's a James May from Top Gear, like the least objectionable part of Top Gear, which isn't saying much, but he did this show where he went to Japan, and it's called James May, Our Man in Japan. I have only seen the first episode, so maybe the whole thing is crap. I don't know. But if you have a tolerance for awkward Englishmen, that whole like vibe of like the awkward Englishman who's like self-aware about the fact that he's an awkward Englishman and he's in Japan, then it's like it seems like a fun show to watch, because, and if you're interested in Japan, because he really does do, like, he takes that Top Gear experience of like going to another country and then doing like not the usual stuff. Like, they'll do the usual stuff, but they'll also throw in like a few unusual things that are actually fun. So I don't know, like, I feel like that might be a good alternative if you can't put your hands on the two shows that I wish you would actually watch, which is The Wine Show and Travel Man.
Nice, nice. Sujoy, man, your turn. Aa gayi bari.
Ramayan.
Yeah.
Do you still want to talk? मैं नहीं कर रहा. No, I'm not. I don't want to play.
So what, like, I've been watching, like, stuff daily, like, on a daily basis. I work and I watch stuff and I eat and sleep. That's all that I'm doing. Right? But that's only some stuff that I want to talk about on the show. I'm watching a lot of PSO. Since we brought up YouTube, I'm watching a lot of DIY videos of like woodworking and renovating knives and people making.
Dude, you tweeted that yesterday, and I was just cracking up. That was like the funniest thing. Like DIY.
Yeah, because I feel very not productive at all. And that's my outlet. Like, I feel productive seeing other people work and know what they're doing. They have renovated their entire bathroom in 3 days. And I'm like, I can't even finish The Witcher for 3 months, So that kind of makes me feel a bit more productive when I watch other people work.
I have a suggestion for you. I don't know if you've been watching them, but there's a Lowe's home, do you know the store called Lowe's?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, they're this British, the American. They're like Home Depot, basically.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And they have a series. It's called The Weekender, and you can find the series on YouTube. And it's this woman called Monica who goes in on a weekend to a house, and then they basically give her like one room of the house, like it's either a bathroom, a bedroom, a laundry room, a living room, whatever. And she transforms the space within the space of a weekend.
Oh,
and
nice.
It is so therapeutic to watch her do it. And she actually makes you believe like you can also do it. Like she's like, oh yeah, like, so easy.
Okay, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, you should do it.
So on my recommendation list, I watched Cake, a Pakistani film by Asim Abbasi. It came out in 2018. It's streaming on Netflix. And yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised by the quality of it. I don't generally watch daily soaps, and I know that there is a string of drama series that is available on like Hum TV and stuff, Pakistani drama series, and this seems like a very elevated version of that, and it kind of reminded me of the dynamics of Kapoor and Sons as well, where you have aging parents, and then you have sibling rivalry, and then there's drama there, and then there's a familiar family incident of the past that has come back into the picture, and it's really well shot, it's really well made. There are some scenes which are like one long take, and the drama escalates throughout that scene, and not a single, false note in that whole scene. I'm absolutely surprised by it. I mean, I guess people who watch these actors in daily soaps wouldn't be as surprised, but for me, yeah, it was, I was taken completely by surprise. So yeah, I would highly recommend Cake. I don't know if I should really. So there is
What's a one line?
So there are aging parents who live in, I think, Karachi. And they are taken care by the eldest daughter of the family, and then there are children who are living elsewhere in the world, like in New York and once in London. But one of their parents goes into ICU and their health worsens, and they have all to come back, and then they are faced with the conflict of who is going to take care of their parents who are, their health is worsening. And then there is the 65th anniversary of their marriage that they want to celebrate. And yeah, a lot of, it deals with mortality and saying goodbyes and all of that. It's really well done. Yeah. Asim, have you seen it?
No, it's funny. This movie, it made quite a bit of noise when it came out, and I think I actually interviewed the director Asim Abbasi on You Podcast Bollywood edition. I'll add the interview to the show notes, and I think he was quite frustrated with the comparisons of Kapoor and Sons, because it did came out at that same time. And I think a lot of times, when a movie comes out in India, they like, oh, ye copy hai uski, it got influence from that. And I think in Pakistan it's the same thing, that because it's kind of the lesser industry, it's like, oh, you copied that from Bollywood. So that kind of annoyed him very much. but because he wanted to separate it. But I think I don't think even you would say it's a copy or anything like of Kapoor.
No, it's definitely not. It's familiar, right?
Yeah,
it's familiar territory where we all deal with it with aging parents. So it's kind of a familiar genre of cinema where we are talking about family drama and aging parents and sibling rivalry. Yeah. In that sense, it shares that sort of universe. But other than that, it's very, very different.
And I think it's also a shorthand to explain to people what kind of movie something is, right? It's not that, but it reminds you of that. I think for me personally, that's fine. But I think at the stage during the promotion, that can be a bit infuriating for a filmmaker who clearly put a lot of vision and ideas in his movie. And I think what he also wanted to do is he wanted to really separate himself from all other Pakistani cinema out there. And I think I even asked him that question. Either Pakistani cinema is low-level B Bollywood, and just the kind of same thing with other like set in Pakistan, and very like almost like Rajshri, still kind of like familial kind of acting going on there,
right? Like the Ali Zafar Tifa movies,
Yeah, that like a lot of like I mean I'm not well versed in Pakistani cinema, so I'm just like glancing from trailers and stuff like that. So I'm trying to not make too many judgments on it, but that's what I got from him. So either it's that or it's like very niche artsy kind of thing that it can be very tough to connect with. Like I remember watching a movie called Anima State, which I would not recommend to any commercial viewer because it's almost in the like Q, the movies Q makes, that kind of thing. So kind of very much alienating commercial movies. So this was kind of in the middle where it has a bit more deeper sensibility and also has a very different kind of cinematic perspective. It wanted to make a movie that looked very different from...
The aesthetic of this movie is just off the charts. It's really like just from a cinematography level, the isolations, the framing between frames, and the contrast in the visuals. It's all up there with the best. Yeah.
And I think it's inspired a lot of new movies that have since then come out, but I don't think maybe it didn't get the push or it didn't get the success that the people were hoping that it would get, but it has, everybody that has watched it has been really fun about thought it was really good, but I also think the Netflix release came way too late. I remember when I interviewed him, he said there was a discussion that it was going to drop quite quickly, and it ended up being almost like a year and a half, 2 years or something like that when it dropped on Netflix. And by that time, the excitement had kind of died away. And I think
I think like with word of mouth and like people if they are discovering it now, it's the shelf life of the movie, as we would put it, would only get more and more. I do see that the whole buzz dying down because there is a large gap between the actual movie release and it coming out on streaming platforms. But isn't that even worse for other Pakistani films as well, though? I've been trying to discover or trying to find a Superstar or Pare Hat Love, and I've not been able to find them anywhere.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's and I don't understand why it is. Is it maybe that Netflix or these streaming content providers don't have a focus yet on Pakistan, or it's not an established market for them in terms of client base yet? But it is a big problem, and they are kind of, they do end up getting uploaded on YouTube, right? But that's not how you want to watch these movies. So I think they're really missing a beat there. And kind of coming back to Cake too, I think it is, people do discover it, they do appreciate it, but I think for like a very kind of an industry that is very much like still in baby steps, you do need the money. You need the money, you need the success to be able to, elevate that to your next project. And when that doesn't come, I think that can be a bit frustrating for these filmmakers, unfortunately. I mean, even with big projects, like it's happening, like the last year we were supposed to get the Maula Jet remake or the reimagining of Maula Jet, and there's no idea when it's coming out, when it's not coming out, and it's such a mess, and it has possibly the biggest stars in Pakistani cinema at the moment, right? And we still, as far as I know, we still don't have a release date, and it's from a filmmaker that had a pretty good success with his first movie. So it still really is a mess, and I think it must be very, very frustrating for the people involved in the creative industry, and it's also probably frustrating for the audiences that there's no, clear way to watch these movies. Like I spoke with our friend Harun Rashid, who was also raising this point on Twitter, that I want to get into more Pakistani movies, but it's just not available to me. Like I think South Indian movies have done a much better job in the last few years when they've had these deals with Amazon Prime. They've got good movies are coming out quickly. They have good subtitles, good quality subtitles. And with Pakistani cinema, it's still not happening, unfortunately. So that's kind of a shame. But yeah, I need to watch Cake. I also need to support the industry, if I have all these rants about it. I've not done it, but it's on my watch list. I definitely want to watch it one day.
Yeah. And other than Cake, I've been rewatching a lot of stuff and also rediscovering classics that I was too young to understand. I watched Ronin on your recommendation. I watched Infinity War and Endgame again because everybody was back again feeling nostalgic about last year. I watched a Zhang Yimou film, Zhang Yimou of Hero and House of Flying Daggers fame. The movie is called Shadow. It's a wuxia wire fu kind of a movie. It's also again a set in a period sort of environment, and it's got some really crazy action scenes and the drama with royal drama and betrayal and all of that. It's really, really good. But the one thing that I want to recommend everybody go back and watch is the Guy Ritchie Sherlock movies, which I binge watched last night, both of them, with Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law as Sherlock and Dr. Watson, and they are so much fun. That's all for me.
Wait, where did you watch that Shadow movie?
Shadow is on Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah. How was Ronin, by the way? Was my recommendation on point or not?
Oh, absolutely, man. It's just crazy how it's off that era, but it's also something I don't think can be done today. Like I've gone back and watched some video essays on it, and they all talk about does Ronin hold up? Hell yes, but also like stuff like all the controversy regarding its production and all the safety issues that went into filming all the car chase scenes. There are actual Robert De Niro is actually in the car on the driving seat doing all those chases, and it's just crazy. And that's probably why it sort of has that distilled rawness into that messy chaotic energy into it. And also about somebody was also talking about how it almost marks the end of an era where in the 90s we had the action hero who is the smart talking guy who knows it all, and then we move on to action heroes who don't know it and who are thrown into situations and circumstances and trying to recover from it. So you had Robert De Niro in Ronin, who is a smart ass and he knows his way through it, and he's been on other jobs throughout his life, and that's his sort of CV, and he brings that to the table. And then you have Sean Bean's character who is just working his way through it, and he catches that he is not the guy who he hypes himself to be. And then you move to an era like Bourne, where he doesn't know who he is, we move to characters like those. So yeah, it was fun to watch Ronin. I would highly recommend it. Yeah.
No, it's a good one, and I don't think enough people talk about it, so I think it's good to kind of get a bit of the hype for that one. Now that's streaming on Netflix too. Anything else, Surai, that you want? No, you're done.
Yeah, I'm pretty much done. I mean, we can talk about Kim's Convenience when you talk about Kim's Convenience.
Yeah. I mean, so I've been watching, like, for me, like what you were mentioning, Amrita, like a low, like a show that doesn't annoy you, and just makes you happy and kind of light casual viewing for me is Kim's Convenience on Netflix, which again is a show that I feel is because it's a Canadian show. I feel it hasn't gotten the acclaim, and the cultural conversation that maybe The Office would, for example, or Community would.
Even like it's not at par with. Like I don't see the online conversation regarding Kim's Convenience to be at par with Fresh Off the Boat.
Yeah.
But I find Kim's Convenience to be far superior in some way.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's so much better, and it deals with, like, for me, they just season 4 just landed on Netflix, and I binged it. Like, actually, this time, me and my wife, me and Isa, should I say on the podcast? Should I say my wife? I feel like Borat when I do that. But also I don't want to say
wife.
Her name. Yeah, but then I also don't want to say her name. So it's like, so we basically put a quota in that we're only gonna watch 2 episodes a day. Otherwise, we'll just binge through all of them in 4 hours and then stuck for a year with no Kim's Convenience. So that's how good that show is for me. And I think initially, I mean, it really appealed to me initially because I grew up in, as a kid of an immigrant in a country that's not my own, and I spent a lot of my time in the shop that my parents have, and dealing with customers, and dealing with like your parents and them making you work for free, all that kind of thing. That really worked for me. But then along the 4 seasons, you really see the evolution between, especially the Appa character, the father character, and you also see his growth in terms of understanding the world around it. At the start, he almost feels like a stereotypical, my dad doesn't understand me kind of character, and now it's like he seems like he is aware of the world. He just knows his place in it, and I think that's been a really cool evolution. And also in season 4, we kind of come to the conclusion of certain relationships that I don't want to spoil if you haven't seen it, but it comes to a fruition. And you've almost been waiting for 4 years to that happen. And when it happens, it just delivers, and it's not like, like something like, I'm thinking Ross and Rachel, or in New Girl, you had that couple kind of coming together and it didn't work. Here, when those relationships are happening, it kind of works and you're happy for these people, So it's quite good, and I mean, it's a strong recommend for me, and I think it's one of the shows that is under the radar. I don't know, Amrita, have you ever heard or watched anything?
Yeah.
You have? Okay. What do you think of it?
I haven't watched it, but I know it exists.
Yeah.
Like, people have, like, you're right. It doesn't get as much. It doesn't get much time in the sun.
Yeah.
And that probably is because it is Canadian. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, if you have heard of it and you are looking for something lighthearted and you've watched enough Friends and The Office and all of those shows, try out Kim's Convenience. Especially like if you get through season 1, you really like you'll start appreciating it. I think I look forward to it, and it's apparently been renewed for 2 years, 2 more seasons. So I'm looking forward to that. And also one of the actors, I think his name is Simi Liu, if I'm not he's going to be in the next Marvel movie too. So he's going to be an actor there, and he clearly you can see in the Kim's Convenience he's meant for bigger things. Like he's clearly very good looking. He's got like the 6-pack. He's a dancer. He's an athlete, and he's also a martial artist. And it's so cool that Marvel kind of picked him up from that little Canadian show, and he's going to be the star of his own movie.
No. Marvel didn't do shit. Simu Liu, he hustled his way through it.
Yeah.
He tweeted Marvel about it. Are we gonna talk about Shang-Chi or not? And then they like, come on, have an audition, So good on him.
Yeah. No,
talking about tiny Canadian shows. Like, are you guys watching, or did you guys? It just ended, but have you guys been watching Schitt's Creek?
No.
I've tried. I can't get into it. Like, help me out. What am I missing? Because everybody loves this show. I've watched I think 4 episodes, and I like all of the actors, but something isn't just not connecting with me. What am I missing?
Maybe you should try from season 3. And
right, yeah, that's what I felt, that I need to kind of push through the first. Sometimes a show needs to find its footing, and I felt the episodes I've watched, they're not there yet.
So season 1 and 2, I mean, I was into it from like the first episode, but season 1 and 2, like, it's fine. Like, if you're finding it hard to get into it, then I would just start from season 3, because that's when some of the most important storylines begin, or like coalesce. And it's really like, it's one of the funniest shows that I have ever seen in my life, but it's a very particular, very sliver thin edge of humor. Like, it might not be for everybody. I mean, that could also be it. Like, it just might not be your thing. But it's there's things that Catherine O'Hara does with her character that just kills me. And then Alexis, like, she's just one of my favorite characters of all time. And then the relationship between Patrick and Daniel is like one of my all-time favorite ships. So it's all of that together. Like, it's funny, it's heartwarming, it's romantic, it's hilarious. And it's only like, it's half an hour episodes. So, what do you have to lose?
Yeah, no, I kind of give it a shot, but I've not like laughed out loud yet. But I hear a lot of people I trust that mention the show, so I kind of want to give it still a chance, but I haven't kind of gotten through it. The other thing I also watched was Maqbool, weirdly enough, because I was yesterday talking to you guys about Shakespeare, right? Like, the Globe Theatre uploads the entire piece on YouTube, and I can't watch it. It's like, it took me 15 minutes, and it's just not for me. And after I spoke to you guys, it's not... I think this is where the disconnect is, where between I speak English, I understand English, but I was never educated in an English system. So this appreciation for Shakespeare and the language, I've never learned it. Like, it was never part of, how I grew up. So the disconnect is just way too much for me. So the way they speak, I don't get the wit of it. I don't understand I really needed subtitles. And I just couldn't connect with it. And then I was just browsing through my watch list on Prime, and Maqbool landed up, and I have never seen that movie. And, because, I couldn't find a good print, or it wasn't available, or there were, those kind of things that happen with a few movies, So yesterday I watched it, and I mean, no surprise, it's a really good movie, So I don't think I can add much to it. But what I did find interesting, though, is that there are a lot of actors, and this kind of ties into our conversation with Cake. Is this movie is well respected. It kind of, I think it was quite successful, but I was kind of wondering about all of these like side actors that had like a pretty good role in it, and they never blew up. They could never really like use that leverage of the success of that movie into a career afterwards. And I just found that really interesting watching Maqbool. Because like, even if you go to something like Gangs of Wasseypur, right? There's so many of these little side characters like Perpendicular, right? Where's Perpendicular's career, right? It's nowhere, right? Like, but like they kind of stood out, and there's like Deepak Dobriyal is in it, and he's like a blink and miss character. I don't think even he has any lines in the movie, but he's still kind of grinding and working. But there's certain actors, they made like 3-4 movies after that, and they just completely disappeared. And I just thought that was kind of an interesting thing to kind of watch Maqbool for the first time. And it's good. I still feel Omkara is his best one out of these Shakespeare adaptations. I don't know. I know a lot of people like Heather. It didn't work as much for me. I thought that Tabu was great, but Tabu is great here in this too. Tabu is great all the time. So yeah, Maqbool was streaming on Prime, so I really like that. I imagine both of you guys have seen that movie, right?
A long time back. I can't remember. But probably
I saw it when it came out. Yeah.
Yeah. And it is also cool to see how story telling has evolved, because it's 2003. So, it's like almost like 2 decades ago. So it was really where like that balance between art cinema and commercial cinema was starting in Hindi cinema, right? Like you had like actors that were kind of big but not that big, and they were making these movies. They were getting more successful than parallel cinema, like it was called in the 80s. But you can see the constraint of the budget. You see the filmmaking is not there. The editing was choppy in quite a few scenes still. And also this balance between still having songs in it, but and then doing Shakespeare. So it's an interesting kind of time to go back and revisit those movies. So yeah, Maqbool, if you've not seen it like me, it's on Prime. So that's one thing I watched. And the last thing I watched was basically for hashtag content, and we didn't get to talk about it last week. I don't know if you guys watched it. Did you guys watch Tiger King?
No, I can't.
Why? Why can't
I just can't.
Why? What pushes you away, Sujoy? I want to kind of know this.
The world is in a shitty place. Anyway, I don't want to watch shitty events with shitty people on TV. So I'm sticking with my sort of fiction world. I'm watching anime. I'm watching fiction a lot. I can't deal with, like, there is a documentary, like, people keep telling me to ask, which was on Channel 4, and it's now landed on Netflix, called Three Identical Strangers, which everybody recommends, and I am not in the mood to watch any sort of documentary or real docu-series. So I'm steering away from Tiger King.
Amrita, you've not watched it either? I feel this could have been your jam. No?
I think it will be my jam, but I'm not watching it right now.
Yeah.
I'll watch it later.
Like for me, it's like I've said this before, and like even when you were talking about Say Yes to the Dress, is like reality TV is really not my bag. Like it's not my thing. It's just something like, except when it's maybe like a true crime kind of documentary, then maybe I'll watch it. But even that sometimes can go a bit too far, which I don't appreciate. For me, watching this was kind of like the value was only like the cultural conversation that's happening around the show. But like having watched it, it's the cultural conversation is so low level conversation. I watched it, and it's basically like just hanging around with racists. Like clearly, all of these people are racist. Like I can see that my racism radar is like on red all the time. All of these people are racist. I can see it, and the other thing is also we're kind of like watching these poor, uneducated people and kind of exploiting their need for, being famous, and like their need for validation, and also like their personal tragedies. But this whole show kind of exploded in memes and like, crazy, like how crazy the story is. And it does mash up kind of like a bit of that true crime with reality TV together. But I don't get it, man. Like, I don't get the appeal of it. I think if you really love this show, please send me an email at youpodcasting@gmail.com. I want to understand why you love it. But I didn't get anything out of it. Like, I didn't enjoy hanging out with these people. I didn't find the overall arc of the story really that interesting in any way, shape, or form. I don't know how. Maybe it's just one of those shows that we're all bored at homes and people want to watch something crazy. That it got the kind of hype that it is. Or maybe there is kind of like this subliminal Netflix push to watch a show. Like, I'm also watching now Money Heist, which I almost feel I've been bullied into watching. Like, it's a good show, but I feel like I've been bullied into watching it, and like I would have probably enjoyed it more because if like there wasn't this push about it, because a few friends had recommended it like a couple of years ago, and I had added it to my watch list. But now with season 4, everybody's watching it, and I feel also everybody's now already spoiled a lot of things that will happen because I'm only starting at season 1. Now I already know who's going to survive the heist, who's going to be killed, who's going to turn, and that's kind of also kind of like takes away from the fun. So yeah, I didn't appreciate Tiger King at all. I know that they're making one extra episode apparently, and it's a very, very kind of messy bitch of a show. I think that's what you can call it. And I think people enjoy watching messy bitches, and I maybe don't as much. But it reminded me almost like one of those, like, you know, those singing competition shows, Indian Idol and all that, and you always get one that sings really badly, and the judges make fun of him, and that clip goes viral. That's what Tiger King feels like to me, and it's not something I've ever appreciated necessarily. So that was kind of a bummer. But I think we're done. I think we ran quite longer than we wanted to. Unless anybody else wanted to talk about anything else. No. So I think next episode we're going to do the mailbag one. I'm really appreciating all the comments and ideas and things we're getting, and people that are sending us reviews. I mean, you guys read them too, right? Such nice things people are writing about us, right?
Yeah, it fills up my heart.
And I think
Also, I want to have like a little shout out to our listeners who like respond to all the crazy things that we say. Our little half remembered like bits and pieces of movies that pretty much like only us and our audience have seen. Like we'll just throw like Asim in our last podcast was talking about Sunil Shetty reciting poems, and like somebody on Twitter actually like remembered what movie that was from.
We have such niche conversations on Twitter, like a very close corner of the fandom, you know.
Yeah, so I want to give a shout out to Viral Seth. He's also given us an awesome review back in the day. So he's at SethViral05, and because that was bothering me, because I knew, although I have not seen Ek Rishta, that's the movie he mentioned. I've not seen it, so I don't know how I knew that Sunil Shetty was doing, you know, Shairi and something. So it's weird. And that movie is weird because I actually watched the clip that he was mentioning. It's at 45 minutes. It's on YouTube. And that movie is such a weird thing because it's so much like that Bharjatiya kind of zone. But you have Amitabh, you have Karishma, you have Sunil Shetty, you have Juhi Chawla and Akshay in it. In this kind of like post-Kejo K3G Suraj Bharjatiya kind of world, and it's really, really weird to watch it. I've not seen it, but I don't think I will.
That movie just like sounds like a fan movie, you know, that you just club in actors that you would like, but you don't have any concept of what you should do with them.
Yeah. It was a thing. I think at that time they were really like hoping that this would work. Like this was maybe what people wanted, but I think all of that kind of cinema has now moved on to TV, luckily. So but thank you for that. And so keep dropping us an email. We'll read them out next week. I mean, I don't think we want to do a whole episode of just reading nice emails about us, but if you have questions, we want to deal and talk about maybe some interesting topics of conversation. So drop us that or the Curious Cat that we can open. Amrita, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at AmritaIQ, and for those of you who were asking about the books, I don't have like a list. Like I thought about putting in a list of books to recommend, but I think it might just be easier for you to go to my Instagram at Amrita_by_the_book, Amrita by the book, basically, and I'm trying to be better about updating that account with book recommendations. And like I said, right now I'm in the middle of like a romance/fantasy phase, but there's also like nonfiction, and there'll be like other stuff being posted from time to time. I'm planning to do this thing about series so that you have lots to read over the isolation period. So just check that out.
Sujoy?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram at 9E3K.
Great. I'm at Asim Bernie. You can find also our guest Suchin at Suchin545, and also on Streaming with Suchin, obviously, on Film Companions channel. And so drop us an email at youpodcasting@gmail.com. Leave us a review at Apple Podcasts. We love the ones that did. And if you haven't done it, take a couple of minutes. You're stuck in quarantine anyway. We'll be back with the next episode next week. Thanks for listening, guys.
Khandaan podcast on the acting.